So we're here with Clarke at Sands Beach Hotel. As well as being a world-class athlete, Will uses his own experiences to help other athletes. So, Will, can you tell us a bit about your coaching setup?
Yeah, so I coach 8 people right now. Kind of mixture of abilities. People kind of just starting out, and kind of my biggest name probably is Ruth Purbrook, who finished 10th overall age grouper and third in age group last year. So that's a fantastic result for her. So I use a program called Exhale, which is designed by Mark Livesey. So that's been really good, and they all enjoy using that and find it useful to track training and for me to give feedback.
So how have you built on? Obviously, you made the jump from ITU to long distance. What sort of experiences have you yourself faced, which you've then helped pass on to athletes like Ruth, who's a very good 70.3 Ironman athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is, I mean, I've also got other things going on in my life. I've got a family and I've got kids, and I understand, that you can't just flog yourself day in day out, and I understand the importance of being fresh and balancing the training right. So I mean, most of the people that I coach have either got families or they've got busy jobs in the city, for example. So I have to really focus on maximising the amount of time that they have for training, and getting it right, giving them sessions that give them the best bang for their buck. And I think the most tricky thing for people is periodising it, so they're getting all the work done and everything they need to prepare themselves for the season, but obviously periodising it so they're doing different things at different times, so it's not everything all at once, week in, week out. And obviously, kind of keeping them fresh for the season. It seems to be half the battle is slowing them down in November and December, because everyone's keen at that time of year. So it's almost, and I certainly know from my experience that the winter's very, very long. It's still happening back home. I see on Saturday and Sunday it's 1 degree in Loughborough. I've been. So it's more kind of slowing them down and getting them ready at the right times, and just keeping an eye on things like that.
And we discussed previously your own experiences in doing Ironman and the challenges. One of the biggest challenges I expect is being able to ride 112 miles, and then when you're on the run, getting through those dark moments. What are the type of things you face? And I imagine when you're explaining that to your own athletes, you've given your own examples, and what would those be? Yeah,
I mean, I really do believe that so much of it is in so much of your race day performance is in the preparation. I mean, so we try and get we try and get that as good as possible, and try and prepare them for a good performance as best we can. But there's obviously a lot of tricks that you can use on rest day to get your performance out, and mistakes that I've made along the way, which is many, that I try and pass on my experience to them, so they can't make the same mistakes. So I'm almost cutting out mistakes before they make them, and kind of warning them against it.
A question I'm keen to ask is, when people run a marathon for the first time, the general consensus is they never run more than 20 miles and never run the full distance. I made a similar challenge with an Ironman, but for example on the bike leg, do you have your athletes regularly riding the full length of an Ironman bike leg, or do they ride only say 90 miles? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I like them to do. I try and get in 2 very long bike rides, so something around, depending on their level, maybe the less experienced ones, I'd like to see them do 100 miles. Someone like Ruth, who's a bit more experienced, I'd like to see more like 200k, so a good 20k above race distance, and I'd like to put in some intervals in that as well. I mean, you're talking about running. It's absolutely right. I think running a marathon in training before an Ironman is way too damaging. I've also made that mistake, and it didn't work out at all. I ran the marathon in training and put it on Strava and waited for the kudos to plug in. And a few of my rivals and competitors came to me kind of at the end of the season and said, as soon as they saw that on Strava, they knew you were done. So little mistakes like that I've made along the way and learned from. I try and pass on, but it's one thing I kind of try and tell people and try and remember is, I did 200k ride yesterday, and it felt horrendous. It felt hard and long, and there's a certain amount of fatigue that we've been building up over the weeks, and by race day hopefully you're freshened up and you've absorbed all that, and the race never feels that bad. You're obviously going a lot faster, so the actual time on the bike is less.
That sounds a bit like a bit of a mental trick, isn't it? Because I imagine you have the confidence you can do the distance.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we spoke previously about the challenge of not always having people to train with. And one of the mental challenges I myself have is when in the pool, if you don't have a group to train with, is there a particular way that you get around that, and any tips you give your athletes? For example, if they have a set goal, it's easier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very experienced. I mean, I'm not a fan of swimming now. I've been swimming for 23 or 24 years, so this gets really old. But I try and make the sets interesting as possible, and I try and use little tricks like maybe using a pyramid set, so you're really front loading it, so you have a big set to start off with, and then it's getting less and less. So you're kind of able to kind of trick yourself into thinking it's not as long and not as hard as it was, and just trying to instill confidence into my athletes. So sometimes I take turnaround times completely out of the equation, so they actually have a chance to relax and think about what makes them swim fast. So I'll just kind of start setting them, if they're not so confident in water, set them longer rest, so they're able to actually think about technique, and then you'll kind of find half the time that their speed comes anyway, because they get excited and they start picking it up, and they're moving better in the water. So there's all sorts of little things like that I try and build into the swim sets to make it a bit easier. But one thing for sure is you have to, if you're swimming on your own, it's very important to have a plan before you get in, because it's so easy to chop and change, and I feel a bit crappy, and I'll do this instead, or I'll just do 3K instead of 4K. And
I've definitely fallen that trap, and there's so many challenges in getting to the pool. So we've talked about swimming, talked about cycling. I'll put you on the spot slightly. So a lot of people, if they don't have a running track and you want to do intervals, do you have any particularly good tips where you suggest people run, or how they can fit a particular session in when it comes to running, which get the best benefits for sort of half iron distance?
Yeah, you know what, like I rarely use the track myself, and I rarely get my athletes to use the track as well. I think you can run fast anywhere. I guess if there's someone who's injury prone, then I'd say they should try and find something like a cricket pitch or a football field or a nice recreational ground. But if they're not particularly injury prone and they're pretty robust, just kind of doing their intervals anywhere. I mean, I like to periodise it, but I like to use the hills for effort. Like it's very easy to get the intensity out on a hill because the hill does half the work for you. But yeah, I mean, the actual speed that you need to run for a half, you can easily get that out on any surface really, and that's kind of the beauty of it really. Is pretty much any interview you do is probably going to end up way above race pace anyway. So you don't really need a track to fight for every second.
Well, great, thanks so much for that, Will.